What's up, guys? Welcome back to Let's Play Basara 3! Alright, so we've played as two of my absolute favorite characters in the game, and it was a lot of fun, but now we're going to be moving on to one that I like even more than those two. That is the lovely Magoichi Saika. I am so excited about this.
Come forward and see what the Saika can do. Foolish ninja. You're no match for my artillery.
I've arrived too late.
The Saika faction were a renowned group of mercenaries that ranked as the most effective and dangerous warriors of their day. With a reputation such as that, they were in high demand, but they would only form a contract with those who recognized their talents and gave them the utmost respect. Their leader, Magoichi Saika, watched calmly over the country as tensions rose. Reflecting upon the battles she had lived through, the lives she had taken, and the deaths she had witnessed, she surmised that the only thing of any worth in this life was to live honorably. Her sights now set upon the two men responsible for dividing the country, Magoichi waited to see what path their disparate lives would take.
As we stand here, once again on the brink of war, I must wonder, did we bring it upon ourselves? These turbulent times where we must all stand our ground, firmly in defense of our lives.
Boss, a decision has to be made.
We will do what we always do. Align ourselves with whomever shows us the respect we are due. We will pay no regard to the bonds of flesh or blood, as they bring little but trouble. Such is our way.
So we fought Magoichi twice already as Ieyasu and Mitsunari, and now playing as Magoichi, we have a choice as to who we want to ally ourselves with, whether or not it be the Eastern Army or the Western Army. So we're going to see what happens. I'm going to be allying myself with Mitsunari and the Western Army for this run, rather than Ieyasu and the Eastern Army, which is probably the more canonically correct route for this game, but it's open to your interpretation, and as we established with the previous run, I kept it canonically consistent between the last two runs as to who Magoichi would ally herself with. So this time around, I'm going to change it up really quick.
I'll keep you
So let's go ahead and deploy her into battle against the Maeda clan, which is the first time we'll actually be able to see Toshiee and Matsu in combat here in Basara 3.
The Maeda clan's rules are guard Matsu, and guard Matsu! Whatever it takes, I will always make sure that she is kept safe, even if it costs me my life. It's strange how you...
Oh dear.
Even if
yes, the
you're
Maeda map is as infuriating as ever here in Basara 3. You may think all we have to do is fight Toshiee here at the beginning, but there's a lot more to it than that. So already we're going to get into a struggle with him right here, which we should be able to defeat, even though he's pretty strong. Don't want to underestimate him, certainly. So let's talk about Magoichi Saika a little bit. So obviously she's a mercenary unit, as we established in the previous runs, and she uses firearms. So her primary weapons are flintlock pistols, which would be in this modern era they would be muzzle-loading firearms that would use like blasting caps and black powder and things like that. So definitely not something that can be rapid fired at all. And the other thing we see her using here is a shotgun, which again did not exist back then. No, scatter shots or flechettes or anything like that really existed back then. Neither did pump action weapons, but we'll forgive it for the sake of this fantasy, because as over the top as this game has already been, it's going to get that much more over the top now that we're playing as Magoichi. So Matsu Maeda has joined us here to defend Toshiee, so we're going to fight them both at once here, which is not too bad for Magoichi, especially because we have the advantage of range on our side. So our first triangle attack will allow us to do a dash forward. What that will also do is kind of sweep up the enemy into the air, and will transition us into our pistols. So we're always going to make sure to use our pistols. And if we use triangle while standing still, we'll bring out the shotgun, and we can proceed to combo the shotgun with the square button and do that series of spinning attacks like I demonstrated there, which also includes that backflip maneuver. So we can string together the pistol combos and the shotgun combos very, very well with her, and she behaves a lot differently compared to Lady Nohime as we played as in Basara 1.
Alright, let's go restock!
Oh dear. Okay, so now Toshiee and Matsu are going to retreat into the stage proper. And in order to actually defeat them, we have to capture all of their command posts, because they're going to have food reserves that are going to allow them to heal. So they're going to be very, very difficult to kill until we capture all of these sectors. So it's going to be quite the challenge, but now I finally get to show off Magoichi against regular units. This shotgun combo is one of my favorite pieces of her combat sandbox to do, and depending on which weapon you have equipped, will give you a different aerial attack as well. Her aerial heavy attack, where you drop to the ground and with the triangle button, is going to be a lot different. It's going to be the same for every single weapon you have equipped. It really doesn't matter what you have equipped, but for the your light aerial attack is going to be different depending on what weapon you have equipped. So again, the pistols can be pretty decent for dealing consistent damage quickly. It's your overall, your medium speed weapon, I guess you could say. The shotgun fires slowly, but it's very, very, it deals a lot of heavy damage. We can continue to hold in our hand. It's not like every time we hit triangle we swap back and then it stays that way. We actually have to toggle manually, which I think is really cool the way they've designed her combat sandbox, where we can kind of combo together her moves, and instead of just toggling between a weapon with a push of a button. I think it actually works really well. And we'll be showing off the rest of her combat sandbox gradually as the game goes on, as we typically do with each character in this series. But she will also get a fully automatic weapon, and she will get hand grenades, and she'll get a rocket launcher. She gets a ton of weapons, which obviously none of which existed back then, but we're not even going to comment on that, because this is Basara, and Basara is over the top as anything. So let's talk about Magoichi Saika in terms of character. So she never showed up in either of the two anime series leading up to the movie or the movie itself. She does have a role in Basara Judge End, though, which she doesn't really do a whole lot. I'll comment on it a little bit more as we go through this run. But yeah, other than that, she does not appear in any of the anime series until Judge End. And introducing her in the movie would be kind of pointless, because you have already way too many established characters, and you have to focus on Ieyasu and Mitsunari for the movie, so good thing they didn't do that. You saw briefly there the aerial heavy attack where I dropped to the ground and then used the rocket launcher there to make a little explosion on the ground. So I wouldn't suppose that Magoichi is that much more over the top than Lady Nohime, because she had a freaking medieval Gatling gun, which was pretty amazing. Or a feudal Gatling gun, I suppose.
Whatever my lord decides.
So we're going to show off her Basara attack right quick here. So she's going to throw a bunch of pistols into the air, and then you start dual wielding her assault rifles and use the rocket launcher, and it's freaking awesome.
That I could serve you until the end.
Deals a ton of damage, lasts forever. It's great. And as you can see on her legs there, she has a rotating bandolier of pistols, so she can just pull one out, drop it, and then pull another one out. So it's kind of it's a little over the top, but
I don't suppose he's for hire.
It's how she manages to deal so much damage and not have to worry about reloading, I guess. As ridiculous as it seems. But yeah, so Magoichi, in the context of the game, it appears that, you know, she and her faction were mercenary groups in charge of, you know, basically their services were available to the highest bidder, and looks like they were working for Hideyoshi there for a little bit. So now Hideyoshi has been defeated, so she has to make a choice. Now that Hideyoshi's closest, most loyal generals have split and begun a civil war against each other, who is she going to ally herself with? And that's pretty much the extent of her route. We'll see how things play out as we move on here.
Yes, sir!
So you can see Toshiee and Matsu are going around the map, and there's a distinct possibility that they will capture one of their command posts back. So I have to be very careful about that and go back to stop that from happening. So they are constantly moving around the map. We can engage them at any point in time, just like in the Basara 2 stage with Maeda clan. We can engage them anytime we want. I'm actually going to edit out a piece of the video here, because I ended up fighting them for a couple of minutes, and it was not pleasant. It was a bit of a waste of time. So what needs to happen is I have to capture all of these commandos. If I don't, it's really not going to make for a very interesting fight against them, and I will probably just end up losing the rest of the command posts against the regular enemies if I focus on them without them being beaten first. But the good thing is, once we have reduced the Maeda's family food gauge at the top there, all the way down, it won't go back up again. So we have that to look forward to. Now we finally disabled that. It really doesn't matter what they do now. Or does it? I don't think it does. I mean, we're going to defeat them pretty soon here, so I don't think it's really going to make much of a difference.
To the victor goes first.
Yeah, you can definitely tell their army is weakened now. Yeah, that's much more like it.
Matsu! I can't take this hunger anymore.
Okay, now we can fight properly.
Oh, I don't think I can take another step.
In terms of actual history, the historical references to Magoichi Saika, there really aren't anything concrete. There was the Saika faction, as it's known in history, was a largely isolated incident where you had a group of rebels who were marksmen and riflemen who rebelled against Nobunaga. So how that relates to the Basara story is we believe that the original Magoichi Saika was killed by Nobunaga, and this girl we know here decided to take his place. So her name is believed to be Saika because that's apparently how what's his name? Motochika refers to her as. So we believe that her original name was Saika, and that she just adopted the name Magoichi to lead the Saika faction to victory after her mentor was killed by Nobunaga. But yeah, the rest of the Saika faction's exploits are probably largely fictitious and unverifiable, mainly because we know that they were mostly wiped out, but also the fact that you know, we really can't verify, you know, who prescribed themselves to this small, isolated rebellion. We do know that we believe that potentially some of them may have participated in Hideyoshi's attack on Korea, but it's not really confirmed, so that's just speculation. So, Matsu tried to use her Basara attack against us, but we managed to dodge that. Okay, we don't want to mess with the birds.
Toshiee always did.
Even though we are the crows of Saika, we don't want to mess with her birds. We don't want to mess with the eagles. So yeah, the Maeda clan always seems to come at us with random animal attacks, which can be really aggravating in this game and in Basara 4. But yeah, Magoichi, it has a pretty easy time dealing with them, even if there's multiple of them, because we can sort of combo them both together with our shotgun. And then her dodge maneuver is actually pretty good. We can do a nice little backflip roll and get away from their attacks.
Everything tastes delicious in the summertime.
So even though it may seem bad to just mercilessly shoot down the same person over and over and over again, and it may seem repetitive, it does get a lot better later in the game. Trust me. Like her combat sandbox, when it gets there, oh boy, is it some of the most fun you can have playing this game.
Pickled daikon in the winter.
Not to mention, this goes without saying, but Magoichi Saika is, ooh, is she gorgeous. She is probably, I'm kind of torn because I really do have a soft spot for Oichi, but Magoichi Saika is definitely,
all you had to do was knock. I would have answered.
Probably up there as my most favorite female Basara character, without a doubt. So I'm gonna pick up some more health right here really quick before we finish off Matsu. She dealt some pretty bad damage to me. Right now, Magoichi doesn't have a whole lot of health. She is kind of on the squishy side because obviously she is a gun user. Although she does have more starting health than Mitsunari did. She has 2,400 as opposed to the, or 24,000 as opposed to the 21 that Mitsunari had. So she's a little bit better off than he was at least. And long-term, her growth will represent that, where she's going to be quite tough by the end of this route.
We fight and die for each other. The crows of Saika. We abide by our own set of rules. If that's a problem, speak up now. Otherwise, prepare yourself.
I promise to do everything that is asked of me.